What's good? Welcome back to another edition of Dat Talk Podcast. I go by the name of Bacon. I got my co-host with me.
Hey man, it's your boy, Mr. Too Many Reasons. Well, I got a lot of reasons why the black community is tripping.
Yes, a whole lot. So let's talk about it, man. We got some drama going on with Sha'Carri.
I think it's Sha'Carri because you got R-I.
Sha'Carri.
I think it's Sha'Carri Richardson. Yeah.
But Miss Richardson was but she tested positive for marijuana, which is an illegal substance for the Olympics. And it got her removed from the Tokyo Olympic Games this year for testing positive. And the community is in an uproar. We had some people say, if it ain't crack, let her run track. A whole bunch of stuff going on. A lot of people supporting her. A lot of people on the other side. So let's talk about it. How do you feel about the whole situation? Do you think she still should have an opportunity to run track? Do you think that they kind of taking a little bit too far from removing her from the Tokyo Olympics?
Well, she's not removed. She's just on suspension for 30 days. So what happened is she can't participate in the single 100-meter race. But I believe the suspension, as long as she accepted the suspension when it happened, it's a 30-day suspension. So she'll be eligible to return and possibly run in the 4x1 100-meter race for the United States. So it's not like, this became like some kind of death sentence and all that kind of stuff. She can still run. She just can't participate in the single event. And, with me, I just been looking at people and it's been crazy. Like I seen, social media post that was like, you a Uncle Tom, a sellout, you for the other side. If you believe that she should have known better and all kinds of crazy stuff that I've seen on my social media feeds. And I'm just sitting here like, here we go again being divisive when we have made a mistake. The beauty is she openly admitted that she made a mistake. She knowingly knew what she was going through and she made a mistake. We can't tell a person how to cope. Right. I've never lost my mother. So that emotional wave that she went through or is going through, that's something that I don't want to have to deal with and or face. So I can't tell her how to cope. And to me, she chose her mental health over the Olympics, which in my head is the right thing to do. Because who knows if she doesn't necessarily do it, what happens or how it turns out. Do I agree she should have did it? Not necessarily, because she kind of knows what was on the line. But I also understand in that moment, you were preparing for one of the biggest runs of your life. During an interview, you get asked about your mother, who you had no idea about. And boom, everything hit you all at once. So she turned to something that she felt was going to help her cope and also just help her get through whatever was coming up next in that next run.
I hear it. And this is a tough topic because we all cope differently. And we all cope and we all deal with pain. We all deal with trauma differently. Here's my thing. I don't know. I'm not all with the whole Uncle Tom and all that other stuff. When you make a mistake, you make a mistake at the end of the day,
When they talk about people being Uncle Tom, that's in agreement that she made the mistake, so she has to deal with the consequences. That's what they're saying. Like, if you black and you not pro her or pro the situation, then you're Uncle Tom for not.
First and foremost, before I even do anything, I like to get all the information and the facts first. I like to know the data and information before I start proclaiming who's the Uncle Tom and this is wrong. That's number one. But here's the thing that is tough. It's hard to tell somebody how to cope when they're dealing with pain, right? And a lot of times we go to what we're comfortable with, which is sometimes it can be alcohol, sometimes it can be music, sometimes whatever it is to heal from your pain, you go to that in those times, right? And it goes back to this point right here. Well, and I know it's not as black and white, but I can't be no other way to explain it is how bad do you care about the Olympics at the end of the day? Like, do you care about your individual 100-meter Olympic run? Because we know that you was going to probably set some records and do some amazing things because you've been doing it. Is that do you care more about that, or do you care more about trying to deal with your issues and your pain? And obviously we see which one she cared about most, because in my opinion, I always say, when you care about something, you're not willing to jeopardize it so easily, right?
Right.
You're not willing to just say, all right, this is what it is. Let me do this because I'm a coach. Because if you really cared about that 100-meter, and it's no disrespect to Sha'Carri, and cope how you want to cope, baby, it's all good. But if she really cared, in my opinion, really cared about trying to run in the Olympics in the 100 individual race, then I think she could have thought about that a little bit harder, a little bit deeper, instead of just allowing it to be gone that easily, to just say, let me pick up the weed and let me smoke because that's the best way to cope. You get what I'm saying? That's not always the best way to cope. Sometimes just talking to somebody, having somebody on your side. I'm more mad at not just her, because I feel like, okay, how can I say it? Because I want to be political correct. I'm not trying to come for nobody. You know what I'm saying? I just want to be honest. I just want to be honest. I'm mad at her because I wish that she would have reached out to somebody, right? Instead of just, all right, let me just do this real quick. I wish she would have talked to somebody. And I wish somebody she would, if she did reach out to somebody, I wish somebody she reached out to should have been there to console her and just be like, we don't need that. Like, I know you want to do that, but let's think the bigger picture. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's come on, let's figure this out together. Let's come over there. Let's get some ice cream. Let's do something. Just not right now. We can utilize that later, but just not right now. Think of the bigger picture. Think of what you racing for. Think of what you trying to do. Think of the community you representing, like those types of things. I know that comes with a lot of pressure, but somebody should have been in her corner, supporting her, making sure she don't make that mistake. See, this is my thing with our community. We'll let our family fall on their face. Then we'll try to support them after they fall on their face, instead of trying to prevent the fall from even happening. That's my issue. I'm sure somebody could have talked to her, and I'm sure, I don't know if she reached out to somebody or not. At the end of the day, she's still her own person, so she made that choice on her own, and I respect her for taking ownership and saying, it's my fault. This is what I chose to deal with my trauma. This is what I chose to deal with my issues. And I encourage her to get additional help, because mental health is important. And if you still want to use that to cope, that's cool. Just know what's at jeopardy at that. So that's when I go back to the point I made. If you care about something so much, you're not willing to jeopardize it that easy, right? No matter how tough things get, if you care about something, if you want it bad enough, you're not going to let anything jeopardize that, because that's what you want. And I don't think she really cared too much about the 100-meter, because I don't think she would have jeopardized that easy. Because when you utilize and you use things to cope, and you use trauma, and that's a way to get out, that's your escape. Well, I did it because of this, but you didn't have to do it. You could have chose to grow a little bit. You could have chose to be like, you know what? Let me vent in a different way. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. It's sad to see. Look, I know I get both sides of the community, because you think about it, it's like, it's weed, bro, and it's legalized. So,
and the thing is, what people are, I guess, in an uprage about, or uproar, I say, is because she did it in Oregon, and Oregon is one of the legalized marijuana states. And so they looking at like, well, if it's legal in Oregon, then how can she? But it's like, if the Olympic Committee and their rules say marijuana is a banned substance, then marijuana is a banned substance. I mean,
yeah,
the bigger argument is trying to figure out how to get quote unquote marijuana not to be a banned substance in the Olympic rule book. If we're gonna think about it, they like, well, the NBA and the NFL are softening their stance. Okay, that's their league. The Olympics is not that league. You feel me? And there's so many anti-doping and anti-things that's going on with the Olympics. They want to try to be as pure as possible. A lot of those dudes ain't no medical researchers to see what is marijuana and performance enhancing thing or anything. They just like, no drugs, no marijuana,
Right.
none of that kind of stuff. And so then everybody bringing up the whole opioids and painkillers. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, she made a decision. The other thing is that she has owned up to her decision. Right. She has accepted her decision. She has asked people not to look at her any differently. She just run a little faster than half the world and she understood what she did. So it's major respect and kudos to her from not running away from it, from not placing blame on others.
Right.
But it's just like when we look at our community and they talking about like, well, we should boycott the Olympics. All the Black athletes that's there should not do it, but for her. And I'm like, is it really? It's that deep? Like we've gotten that far to where everything has to be a boycott. Everything. It's like they really making it seem like the Olympics came out of nowhere. It was like, hey, drug test her real quick, and if she tests positive, she can't run. And it's a suspension. Again, you feel me? Like people really think she's just banned. It's just a 30-day suspension. Yeah. And that happens in all leagues across the thing before they start being a little less strict about it. So it's just like I said, man, it's unfortunate, but it's a life lesson.
I like what you said. It's a life lesson. Again, I can't tell you how to cope. No. Whatever you choose to do is your choice. But you got to understand whatever you choose to do comes with consequences or whatever, solutions or whatever the case may be. I don't even want to say consequences or whatever. It's action. There's a action and a reaction. Something happens after you do an action or whatever.
Newton's law. For every action, there's a reaction.
Yeah. So when you do something, know that something's going to come from it. It may be whatever. I don't know. However you look at it is how you look at it. I just want to encourage you, to reach out to people to talk about those issues, because in our community, we always resort to the liquor, the drugs, the substances, because that's the easiest way to deal with it rather than facing it and addressing it. You know what I'm saying? And trying to overcome it. Like you can't continue to allow things to hinder you from getting to where you want to go. Like every time life get hard, that don't mean I need to pick up, some weed, or I need to drink, or I need to do that. Like there's other solutions. It's not always, let me just smoke. It'll make it better. Yeah, it's temporary fixes, because it's still going to come up. It's still going to come up. You know what I mean? And so that's just coming from a counselor point of view, mental health. I just want people to be mentally strong and don't always have to rely on substances that help them get through their pain and help them get through their issues. I get it. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but don't let that be like a number one priority all the time. That's the number one go-to. Oh, somebody broke my heart. Let me get some of this drink. Oh, somebody died. Let me smoke some of this weed. Oh, you know what I mean? I want us to be able to get through it as a community and stop as a unit. I just hope that we can be there to help them prevent the fall than to always come after the fall, right? Nice. That's one of the things. I just want us to get to that point where somebody got to be in the corner, bro. Somebody got to be in their corner helping her out more than just do what you do. It is what it is. We support you. No, like, look, I know it's tough, but it is what it is. I'm praying for you, sister. I love you. And again, I'm not knocking you. You did what you did. You owned up to it. And I'm proud of you for what you did. Now, whatever comes about from it, whatever comes about for it, I'm not going to go in this whole, you are Uncle Tom and all this other stuff. You have entitled to feel how you want to feel. But I just think the Black community, we got to be better. We got to be better at a lot of this stuff. But anyway, moving right along, man. The Clippers are home. I was wrong. They did go home. I thought they was going to come back. Chris Paul showed the difference between a dog and a pup. And he's sending them boys home with a 41-piece meal ticket to say bye-bye in the place that he played and gave a lot of his blood, sweat, and tears to. And he ended up beating the Clippers at the crib. And then the whole Pat Bev thing, look, bro, that was crazy. That was crazy.
Hey, bro, if we in the pickup game, you already know what's going on.
That's a fade.
That's ultimate. Listen, I think if it's a regular season game, it's a fade. But the team understood the bigger picture. So I listen. I wanted to restrain, because you got people on that team like Jay Crowder who be about that life.
Yeah.
For that team to restrain and not react and jeopardize the bigger picture, like that's big respect to Monty Williams. Because in every interview, all you hear, every single player that got up to that microphone, and Cam Johnson did an interview yesterday on the Herd, the word poise. And that's what that team displayed in that particular moment, bigger than all other moments, because that moment right there, that's the easiest way to lose your poise. Like, come on, man, you just pushed my teammate in the back. He could have caught whiplash or any other kind of thing, which could have cost him in the playoffs. You feel me?
Finals too.
Exactly. And so, it's just very unfortunate that Pat Bev did all that, because the man didn't say nothing to him. Mm-hmm. He literally said nothing. The homies was talking, we was talking, they was like, he had to say something. I said, bro, when you look at it, he hit Morris with a whoop wop, bam, bagged up, didn't even like, because they screened in on it. He didn't even say nothing that he hit Morris. Usually Chris Paul got something to say. Right. He hit Morris with the whoop wop, didn't say nothing, did his little Chris Paul swag walk. He looked at Pat Bev in his eyes. He hit him with that, I'm that guy look. And Pat Bev got mad, was in his feelings.
Yeah, he was.
He definitely. But Chris Paul's performance, my God, like, it's just one of those, man. Every playoff run has one of those. D Book had one against the Lakers. Chris Paul had one. Was that game 3 against the Nuggets where he went?
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 1 or 2, but he had another one of those performances.
Yeah, and then this one right here in this closeout game, knowing he's been struggling in the last games, knowing that he had a bunch of young guys in the game 7 seemed probable. It was just like 41 points, I think 8 assists, 0 turnovers.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was the crazy part about it, that he had 0 turnovers.
Listen, man, his legacy is, I mean, again, we talk about legacies while they still playing, and I know you one of the people that's like, let the career finish,
right?
And then we can really talk legacy. But you can see that Chris Paul is starting to put a stamp, and right now he's 4 games away from sealing that. To me, he's 4 games away from being top 3, in my humble opinion, as PGs of all time. And so, man, I'm cheering for him. And I said after the Suns beat the Lakers that they was going to the finals, because I just see that team is one of them little destiny runs. Yeah. And man, just big shout out to Chris Paul, and big shout out to Monty Williams for getting this ship going. And I'm excited for the Suns, man. They're my pick in the finals, no matter who come out the East.
Big facts. Shout out to Chris Paul and Phoenix and getting them over the hump, man. It's crazy. Like you said, maybe don't miss the playoffs one year, then win the chip the next. Maybe that's the new phase.
That started to look like the formula. The Lakers didn't make it, came back, got to the chip and won it. The Suns didn't make it, came back, and they on the verge of possibly winning it. It's looking like a interesting formula for success. You feel me? Look like an interesting formula for success.
But anyway, man, moving on to a big game 6 tonight, man. We got Giannis, who is not going to be playing again with a hyperextension knee, which happened in game 4 in Atlanta when they got routed. They got torched, but they came back with poise. Brook Lopez showed why he should be playing inside the paint a little bit more and dominating a little bit more. And then my man Portis off the bench played heavy. And then, everybody else did what they did. Middleton played well, and the others did what they needed to do. And they was able to beat, a Trae Youngless Atlanta Hawks team. I still don't know if Trae Young's going to play tonight. It hasn't been ruled if he's going to play tonight. But how do you feel game 6 going? Is it over tonight in Atlanta, or will it be a game 7?
Again, man, like I said, I picked the Hawks in 6, so obviously now I got to go Hawks in 7. So I got to have faith in ATL. I feel like they're going to be home, get that crowd behind them, and force a game 7, and try to figure out a way how to combat Brook. I always look at stuff like that as that being fool's gold. So I want to see them I need to see Milwaukee put another performance like that back-to-back games, because it looked good at home. You know how it is when you're at home, you're comfortable. Baby, you're comfortable. But now that ATL crowd is going to be rocking. You feel me? Young Jeezy, T.I., the Migos, all the homies is in the front row. And so it's just going to be interesting. I'm hoping Trae can come back and play. But I mean, I just feel like a bone bruise on your ankle is not nothing that just heals in 5 to 6 days. It's
But
just I've had ankle injuries, and I just know that it's not something that just heals. And for him not to even really be running and playing in the last couple of games doesn't bode well for him coming back tonight. So, but I still got faith in the Hawks, and I got the Hawks tonight.
I think this is a game Middleton has to put his stamp on. I think this is the game because we always talk about Middleton, coming and showing up some games and not showing up some games. I think this is the game where he puts his stamp on. If he's the closer of the Bucks, close out the Hawks. Simple as that. Go into Atlanta, put a stamp on the game. Do not play with your food. Do not give them life. If Trae Young is not playing, put him away early and put him away quick. If you give that team life in Atlanta, they will run you crazy and you'll be back in Milwaukee for a potential game 7 where anything can happen. You can risk another injury. You can risk anything happening. So Middleton has to put this game away. And the others like Brook Lopez, Portis, PJ Tucker, Holiday, they got to come out ready to play and they can't mess around. It's got to be straight business. Okay. Atlanta is a good team, but they're depleted. They are depleted. They're depleted and they're still competing. That's why I give them a lot of respect. And I think this team is going to be one of the teams of the East very, very soon because they got some pieces. I think they're missing maybe one more guy that's going to take them and put them over the hump. I just don't know that guy just yet. But they're a good team and they have a lot of depth on that team. But Milwaukee, this is your opportunity, bro. This is your opportunity. It ain't going to get no better than this. Either you put Atlanta away or you possibly can get put away in game 7. We seen what they did in game 7 against Philly. You don't want to be that happening to you. You don't want that to happen to you. But anyway, let's see what my man Jay got to say about the closeout game for Milwaukee and all this other stuff that we talked about as well. Let's get my man Jay up in here. Jay.
Yo.
You there?
Yeah.
Let's see the setting. Let's see the scene.
No, it's nothing special, man. It's all the same, man.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. Listen, I'm feeling the hat.
Yeah, bro. Well, hey, we ain't even got acquainted like that, man. It's all Raiders all day. Yeah, no, I'm with you, bro.
Come on, man.
It's that transition period, man.
I knew something was up.
Come on, man.
Something was up when y'all chemistry was so close. I was like, this don't feel right. You know what I'm saying? He's a Golden State. He's a Laker. How they still cool? It's the Raiders. I knew
they've been in LA.
I knew it.
Man, they got ties, man. This is
come on, man.
It's the Raiders, man.
Hating, man. You feeling left out?
No, I'm not.
The third wheel.
We know what we did to the Raiders last year. I got a feel for what we did to the Raiders last year. So I'm not worried about no Las Vegas, Oakland, or Raiders, whatever Raider fan in there. Y'all don't stand a chance.
We coming this year, man. We coming this year. I'm gonna go check out that stadium, just like my man Reasons. He could tell me about it. I'm about to go see what's up with it next month.
Listen, hey, look, I knew it was something. I'm like, man, me and Jay are like right here. And it makes so much sense now, man. I can't wait for football season now. Because I got a partner in crime.
Yeah.
All good. It's all good. That's 2 more people that's going to take LC, your boy Bacon. Anyway, Jay, it's game 6, man. It's closeout. What does Milwaukee do tonight? Do they close out or do the hot Atlanta Lemon Pepper Hawks find a way to win and take it to 7?
I think the Hawks is probably going to pull this one out. And I'm still thinking that the Bucks is finna get it, but like if Trae plays and he's 60% of himself, I'm 70, more like 80%. Then the Hawks should pull it out. I'm just so tired of betting on the Bucks when you think that they show some pride and some composure, that's when they're gonna give it up. So all right, I'm done betting on the Bucks.
Done betting on the Bucks. So
I do think they're finna win the series, but like to expect them to win tonight, nah.
Expect them to win tonight. It's gonna be interesting.
I picked the Hawks tonight too. Bake, he's on the lines that Middleton needs to get this done. We feel that Middleton, he can't be the person that appears and then disappears. You feel me? Middleton is starting to become that old famous quote from Dennis Green. he is who we thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Middleton's becoming. You feel me? He's the guy that we just don't know. And we shall see, because there is no Giannis tonight.
Nope.
Again. And they have no reports came out for Trae just yet.
Nope.
So I got the Hawks tonight just because they're in Atlanta.
If I'm Trae Young, he gotta play, man. I don't care how hurt I am. I at least gotta go out on my sword. I don't want to sit and watch my team lose. I at least go out there for a quarter, give it a go. If I can't do it, then at least I try. But it just looks bad. I know it's bone bruises, ain't nothing broken. It's just a bruise. And so to get out of this new age is just soft. I would just say go out there, give your team a spark at least, man. Go out there and try.
Yeah.
You know
what? Watching the James Harden thing, like, it actually makes me think you're right. The reason why I would say that is because what did Coach Bud do when Harden was apparently on half a leg and he just let him? Yeah, exactly. So if Trae can sit out there, be a decoy, create the gravity, then why not? Because we know Bud ain't coming for his neck. Because, you know, if playground rules, you go out there, and if you can't, you know, you handle your own, then you just, you know, you give up buckets all day. Exactly.
Jay,
all day.
Where is
all
he?
Day.
Where is he? Go at that man. That's what. That's
only 6 feet. He only 6 feet, $180.
Bro, we going at that man. I don't care who he guarding. Oh yeah, find him.
But betting on Middleton, his back has to be against the wall. He comes out 0-2, then all of a sudden he comes out swinging. But there's difference between front runners and people who could, you know, everybody when their back's against the wall, if they got some pride about themselves, should show up. But betting on these Bucks when they should handle the business and do what you put money on them to do, that's when they come up short.
No, I feel that. So moving right along, man, my Clippers, not my Clippers, but the team I thought that was going to win it all, ended up losing in Game 6 in LA by that performance was just historical. And my boy ended up going to the game, and he watched that. That's history that you're never going to forget. Chris Paul, 41-point performance, 8 assists, no turnovers, man, and 31 points in the second half. But before we get into Chris Paul, I really want to talk about this guy, Paul George. Did Paul George save his sort of legacy? Not legacy, but his name by his performance that he did throughout the playoffs without Kawhi? Or do you still think he's still on the hot seat, like Paul George, who we thought he is, who we thought he was?
Nah, I think he definitely put some respect back on his name. The chastising he's been getting was different. I heard Nick Wright call it, and it was just like it was a pity thing that people was making fun of him, like the slander that DeMarcus Cousins was talking about. It was just like it was crossing the line. It wasn't normal criticism. And did he come back from that? Absolutely. He missed free throws, turnovers. Yeah, you know, he came up a little short, but we've always questioned whether he was a true number one. But for him, he showed some playmaking. Like if I'm Steve Ballmer and I'm paying him $40 million, I'm not feeling like it's tossed in the trash. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling like, yeah, put some respect back on his name. Did he come out, you know, KD style? No, but you know, absolutely.
I had a whole take on this on Twitter, and I'm gonna kind of summarize my take because I went kind of deep. But I feel like Paul George's situation was a him thing. I feel like, you know, everybody got caught up, or, you know, the whole criticism, it became a him thing. Because you think about it. In Indiana, Paul George was doing this thing, right? Got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then lose to the Heat a couple of times, and he was balling. Nobody really came at Paul George's head. Nobody really, like, threw him under the bus. It was just, you know, he performed. They lost to a better team. When he got to OKC, once after game 1 of the first round, and he proclaimed himself. Now, when you have a proclaimed nickname, all bets become off. You feel me? Because he proclaimed himself as playoff Pete. It wasn't that the media came out and was like, oh, PG, you playoff Pete, because it was just PG, or it was PG-13, which was nicknames that was kind of given through the course of him hooping. When you start proclaiming yourself, that's when the criticism's gonna go, because when you think about it, he had a pretty solid series against Utah. But in game 6, he went 2 for 17. They had to go home, right? And then the next year, when you look at the numbers that he put up that year in OKC, he balled out. Top 5 in MVP, second team All NBA. I think he was second team All Defense. The numbers he put up against Portland was nice. But it was a couple of games in there where you're like, whoa, what? Look at these numbers. And then Dame hit the shot on it. And then you fast forward to the bubble, and then that performance with Denver, and then he had the whole his mental wasn't right, and then he was blaming Doc. So it was like people was coming for him because he had a self-proclaimed nickname. And I compared it to, just think what LeBron would have went through, or what he was going through when he self-proclaimed himself as the king and was coming up short. People was coming at him the same way. So it's like, we have to, because I think Charles Barkley kind of talked about it, but I think he didn't really hit the nail on the head. It's not the criticism that he should be worried about. It's you self-proclaimed yourself as playoff P. So that means now you have a whole new thing to live up to that you put on yourself. And when you don't live up to it, people got new ammo to attack you.
Ammo, but it's what you gotta understand, that the human psychology piece to it too, because not people are built different. And when you're an overthinker, and I'm one of them, like I think about from 20, 25 years old, would I have been able to deal with this, right? I'm pushing 40, so no Twitter, no, like you can't go undefeated. The internet just don't play like that. So, when you get in your head, it's a wrap, bro. It's a wrap. And now what I heard him say was, I'm done listening to all that mess on the internet. I'm done like playing for what other people think, right? You got an owner who's paying your check, and you got your pride and what you really doing it for. And I think he hit that place. And so he should be good psychologically from here on, but we'll see. But it's just a different thing, man. The internet is just not to be played with.
Feed it, bro.
Here's my thing, though, with PG, man. He did have a solid playoff performance this year, but this is the thing that he did that LeBron get a lot of crap for, is that defer mindset. PG came out, and you can tell that he was like not even aggressive. It was a night and day from Phoenix to LA. In Phoenix, he was aggressive. He was trying to get his shot. In LA, he damn near didn't want to shoot the basketball. It was like they got into him a little bit early, made it physical for him, bump him here and there, try to get him off his rhythm. But still, he wasn't aggressive. He wasn't attacking as much. He wasn't doing a lot of stuff. And it was just like, I solidified my game against what I showed y'all what I can do, but can you do it on a nightly basis? He scored 41 in Phoenix, in a tough place to win an elimination game. We expecting you to come back home and put not even a 41 performance, but be aggressive, go out on your shield. The only person, in my opinion, no disrespect to nobody on that team, was Morris. The Morris brother came out there, was like, hey, man, I'm trying to get my bucket. I'm taking these shots. I don't want to go home. I'm going to do whatever I can to win this damn game. But just Chris Paul was just too much. They had no answer for Chris Paul. He was just in the zone. And like I told Reasons, it was a definition between a dog and a pup. Because you know what's crazy? Chris Paul got crossed again by Paul George, and Paul George made the shot. And he went on a tangent after that. It was like, okay, bet.
Yeah.
You think it's about to be a repeat?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Came back the very next play, hit Reggie Jackson, and 1 4-point play. Then he come back again. He looking at Morris like, what? You're not even here. You're not even here. And it was crazy when you're not there, because the ball didn't hit nothing but the bottom of the net. And you knew it was going in. And then he picked up his shirt, was like, yeah. And then you got Pat Bev. And I think with Chris Paul, it was more gratifying for him, because he know he won the mental game.
Yeah.
Because he got up, was like, yeah. He don't feel like that. Yeah. He'd already lost. Like, it's 5 minutes left. Man, gonna push me in my back. His mental ain't there. We mentally here. We mentally here. And then, like what Crowder was saying, can you taste it yet? Nah, with 5 minutes left, up by 24 points. And Chris Paul mindset said, I can't taste it yet. that lets you know he's a different cat, bro. He's a different dude.
Is he different, or is it his dog? He's at the end of the road, man. He's on the 16th hole, and he like this. He's looking at his the next couple years, and he's like, bro, this is it. The future is now. I have to. Whereas Paul George said, I came out, I had to put some respect back on my name, and in the end, complacency and like I'm happy that I did what I did. And CP3 was just like his legacy. We talked about this on the last episode. Like if they went down after being up 3-2, 3-1 or whatever it was, like he was about to have some dookie on his name, on his resume that he wasn't going to be able to shake. So does the outcome actually surprise me? No. And so, dude, I'm not trying to throw no disrespect on CP3, but it's a front running, like the way it was a little distasteful, like what he was doing, like the way he was acting. Like he was just like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling it.
No.
I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. I know he was over there talking. Like what was Boogie talking about?
But Jay, see, I feel like
when you up and you get the chance to talk, you get to do all this. I co-sign all of it, but at the same time, that don't mean you have to do it. No, like what was Boogie talking about?
You listen, Boogie just talking about personal experiences and what's been said around the league, because that's why Boogie was like, that's why nobody mess with your punk ass or something to that effect. And I'm looking at it like this. It's like, you got to look at the man and what that man has been through, right?
True. He's been through it.
He's been through a lot. Failure after failure. You feel me? Like I said, I told y'all, this is Chris Paul's repay for when the league ousted him out of being with Kobe. Because who knows what that dynamic would have been like if he'd have had a chance to be with Kobe for however stretch that would have been.
Right.
And so the injuries, and then when he wasn't hurt, Blake got hurt, or it was just something about the Clippers, and then he go to Houston and he get hurt, and then James is like, well, I know what we need to do. They need to get rid of Chris Paul. Then they ship him to OKC to go die. If we really think about it, they didn't send him to OKC with expecting success. They sent him to OKC to die, but he didn't. And then he gets to Phoenix. So now he's with a team. He's on his way to the finals. You're supposed to do that. To me, he didn't do enough, because I would have been talking big-ish. I'd have been buy-in, all of that to them bums. Buy. Because when in the heat of the battle, they was doing the same thing. Wouldn't nobody coming for Chris Paul when Paul George crossed him? He on memes. He in New State Farm meme commercials with him falling. All kinds of crazy stuff. So I feel like Chris Paul do that, because not only it wasn't that D-Book was going off and he doing that, it was him going off and he was talking that stuff.
It was. I just, where I'm coming from is like, when you are crossing and you're dancing when it's already 25, like what he did was,
it was 7. Right?
It got down to like 7 or 10 or whatever it was, and he did hold it down. And I sent you on the text message. I'm like, if he don't put these dogs down, that's an indictment on him. And he came and he did it. But all the extra, when you blew it up from 15 to 25 or whatever, and the dancing is just like, now I'm with that, because I'm one of them. I'll be doing the shimmy and all of that. But it's just like there was no Kawhi. All you did was what you was supposed to do. That's what you did.
Like I hear all that. And we'll talk about that for another day. As far as like the Phoenix Suns run to the NBA Finals. We'll save that for next week or so before we start talking about the finals. But here's my thing, man. It was a lot of jarring going back and forth. Okay. It was competitive when Chris Paul got on the nobody was saying, oh, they doing too much. When Pat Bev was taunting him, jumping up, like nobody was saying they was doing too much. But now all of a sudden when I'm whooping your butt and I'm giving it to you crazy, now I'm doing too much. Now I got to be no, hell no. This is who I am. Chris Paul, and I go back to my statement. It's between a dog and a pup. Chris Paul always had the dog in him. He just been unfortunate with injuries after injuries after injuries. Chris Paul always been that dog. Chris Paul always been a killer. Chris Paul always been the one. I'm trying to close the deal, but something always happened. Either you get hurt or something happened or the team just out of whack or whatever. But he's always been a dog at the end of the day. And it's just different. It's layers to it. It's like you said, Paul George was just trying to put his name back into respectable terms. Chris Paul was like, I'm trying to win a goddamn championship.
Yeah, but they celebrating like they already won it, though. I think that's what I'm really getting at, is they celebrating like
Phoenix ain't been to the chip in 20 years.
I get
Chris
that.
Paul is the first time he's going.
What's the goal? Is
the goal is it? But look, see, I'm not going to tell you not to celebrate, and because you never know if you ever going to get to the Western Conference Finals ever again. You never know if you even going to make it to an NBA Finals ever again. I'm not going to be modest because you always hear some of the guys that say, I wish I would have did a little bit more. I wish I would have embraced that moment because I never knew that was going to be the only time I ever make it. You got to make it like it's your last. Celebrate like it's your last, and then you move on. It's the next day. All right, tonight we're going to have a great time because we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get here. Now, let's move on to the NBA Finals. That's how I look at it, bro.
Hey, Jay, and I think your point will be correct if they come to this finals and flop, right? If we see like this is not the Suns we was watching during our Western Conference run, then your point of they probably took that little celebration to heart. I mean, because we look at it like kind of how LeBron celebrated last year when the Lakers won. You feel me? How he just sat there like the job's not done. But you got to understand, Bron knows what it's like to get there and fail. So in his head, he like, oh yeah, we not about to do this. There, one of the things is you don't know until you know. So right now, they don't know what the finals is. They know what it looked like and what it seemed like and what it may be, but they don't know. So right now, you feel me? They take that night, they celebrate, they turn up, and then they get it. The cool thing is they got a whole week and some change off.
Yeah,
so they got a long time before they even get back into basketball and all that kind of stuff. So they enjoy it.
So I have a lot of respect for CP3. What he does, he's 6 foot barely. He's a Hall of Famer. I mean, if you want to argue after Magic Johnson, he's right there between, Steph and Isaiah Thomas. And he's right there at the table. And I'm glad he didn't ride somebody's coattails, right? You know how, the ring chasers ride somebody else. No, he was not the Patty, but he was a main piece of
No, stop that.
He's not the Patty, man. Book is the Patty, bro.
No, Book ain't the goddamn Patty. Book was nowhere to be found in these damn Western Conference playoffs.
Let Book get hurt.
Okay, we can say that about anybody, though. Come on, Jay. Yeah. I told you Chris Paul showed you who the Patty, who the French fries, and who the goddamn shake. Where was D Book? D Book didn't have one of those Laker moments. He didn't have no He didn't have no 30 point. D Book was maybe a little sprinkle on the icing. He was a little sprinkle on the cake. He was a condiment. Put the ketchup in the mustard. Chris Paul was the Patty. And if you say not the Patty, you bugged it.
Actually, you know what? I was loathing the finals, but if Giannis comes back game 7 and he's 75-80%, we're gonna have a good finals, you and me.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have some fun. But before we get out of here, we gotta get to a serious note. With Sha'Carri Richardson, with the whole marijuana and being suspended for 30 days and being removed from her singles competition in the 100-meter race. That's what she do. That's what she's great at. But she still could be in the 4x1 potentially if she accepts the suspension. How do you feel about the Olympics move? Do you think it's just? Do you think they a little bit too harsh? You think they should still let her run? How you feel about the whole thing?
And our community and their takes, Jay. Yeah. All that grouped into one.
I think that there needs to be some room for some real time adjustments, man. Are we talking about, is this performance enhancing? What are we talking about here in terms of her not being able to run because of marijuana? It's legal in how many states now? And is what other dynamic is at play? If she was a different ethnicity and looked the part, would we even know about it? That's the questions that I have, so this is an Olympian trains their whole life, man. They got pushed past COVID. And when you take somebody's dream away, like, you got to really, analyze what that is. And when rules is outdated, like with the Reggie Bush thing, right? It's like, oh, now it's cool to pay athletes. Can I get my records and my trophy back? You know what I'm saying? Like, you make the adjustments with instant replay. We're in the way that our society is moving, it's more real time. Dude, do us right. Do us right. Let her run. What are we talking about? Marijuana? You know what I'm saying?
I get that. I definitely get that. Here's my thing. It's like, yes, marijuana is legal, right? But you can't come to your job high. You can't come to your job under the influence. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a representation of the organization. If you represent a country, you can't come to an event. I'm not saying that's what she did, but you can't come to there under the influence. You just can't do it. And so if you're in the competitive nature and you're choosing to compete and you're signing on that dotted line that I'm going to represent our United States of America, and these are the things that I can't do, then you have to be more conscious of the way you moving. At the end of the day, I get it. It's weed, it's marijuana, it's not enhancing her performance, it's helping her deal with trauma. I definitely understand all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Michael Phelps he was doing marijuana, but we never got proven if he did it during or before or whatever. He just came out that he was doing marijuana. So you know what I'm saying?
But to that, he was never tested positive. He got in trouble for taking pictures with the bong, and they assumed, and he got a 3-month suspension and lost hella sponsors. She got a 1-month suspension on an actual positive test. And you got to think about it. The biggest sponsor that's out there is behind her still, Nike. Nike said, listen, baby girl, we understand. We gonna still back you and still support you and still ride with her. Because if you really think, like you said, to your point, Bake, and even to Jay, if it really was a huge deal, Nike is a no tolerance type situation. Nike would have been like, we out of here, champ. You feel me? Yeah. And so for Nike to stand by her, you feel me? And Jay, you right, the rules are a little outdated, but this is a gripe we should have had during COVID. We should have been pushing the Tokyo Olympics or the Olympic Committee to be like, hey, you feel me? These things need to change as the NBA is changing, as the NFL is changing, as the MLB is changing, as the other bigger sports are changing. We should have been looking at the Olympics to change. But didn't nobody say nothing about the Olympics last year, 2016, 2012, or nothing. So we can't wait to 2021 to be like, all right, we need to make a change for her. I just think we just have to be more mindful of our decision making. And you said it, Jay, best. She trained her whole life to get to this point. And Bake said it earlier. When you train your whole life for something that you absolutely care about, that means you shouldn't do nothing.
You can't have a moment of lapse. And so I got a 14-year-old daughter, and before COVID, she was dabbling, trying to run track. And then I asked myself, as her father, you fast forward and something like this happens, I'm gonna take Bake's perspective, and I'm gonna be like, yo, if this was your dream, you don't leave it in any doubt, whatsoever. So the conversation that I'm having with her is 100% from an accountability from what Bake was talking about.
Right.
But as an outsider advocating for her, I'm like, what are we talking about? Right. Like, what are we really talking about here? Right. Come on.
I hear all that, and you got a legitimate point. You got a legitimate point, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, if these are rules, and like, for example, even no matter if it's legal, you still can't come to certain things under the influence. It's just it's a sense of professionalism. It's what they've created, and I get it. She did it on her off time. She wasn't high during her races. But then that could be up to speculations, right? Did she smoke before running? It could be a lot of stuff. And that's a whole nother can of worms. But it's just a bad look for the community. But again, I'm happy that people are supporting her. I'm happy. But
her vibes are cool. Her vibes and her accountability is cool.
That's where I'm at with it. She taking ownership of it. And I just want her to get additional support, because we can't always utilize substances as that's the best way to deal with our trauma. Because it's not really healing our trauma. It's only putting a Band-Aid on a wound that's going to continue to get deeper and deeper until you address the real issue.
her wound ain't going nowhere. Losing your mother, that don't heal. I don't give a damn how much weed you intake.
Yeah.
That pain ain't going nowhere. And so, like I said, I look at it like this, especially for our community. We're the type, and again, there's a lot of other types, but I'm gonna just speak from our community. We're the type that'll go over the speed limit, right? 75 miles an hour, get pulled over, and then cuss out the cop for pulling us over.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, bro, you broke the rule. So because you broke the rule, there are consequences that come with said rule breaking. And to Jay's point, we only talking 75. Like, bro, wasn't nobody on the freeway. Yeah, I'm moving the flow of traffic. But if a cop pull you over, I got to be accountable that I broke said rule. And so that's where, as a community, I get we're trying to push equality. I get the rules and everything has always kind of been set up against us. But at some point, we still got to walk within the fine lines of what life is and what society is. And we can't get too far left where we lose a sense of what you said, accountability. Because I got a daughter, too, that's in the running track. And as Bake said earlier, when the rubber really hits the road and it's time for her to really deal with trauma, I got to make sure that as her father, the people around her, we're giving her the best advice as possible. We're not about to condone silliness just because you want to go to silliness because you think that's what's going to help. It's like, no, baby girl, we got a bigger picture right here. And if this was in the rule book, we got to follow what's in the rule book. Do we agree? No, but we got to follow what's in the rules.
1,000%. But before we get up out of here, man, what y'all want to say before we get up out of here about all the topics we talked about today, man? Final word.
You know what I'll say is I'm actually proud of Pat Bev for going on social media and apologizing and taking the egg on his face. Like, it don't condone, throwing a cheap shot, man. That you could have whiplash, you could have all kind of stuff that happened. Man, how old is he now? 36. But at least what I always have an appreciation for, it was when somebody just owns their stuff, especially in a public forum. So
gotcha.
I was ready to throw Pat Bev under the bus, but take his apology.
Listen, he getting paid too much money to be
acting childish.
Come on, man. Like, because the man didn't say nothing. I would give you a little bit of room if the man said something to him.
Well, no, he said something 2 minutes before, 5 minutes before.
Yeah, but you can't listen. Hey, do something about it. Pat Bev, you on the court. You are on the court. You feel me? All you gotta go do is go out there and guard him. Right. Maybe if you really guard him, he don't go for 31. Maybe he go for 15. I don't know. But don't push the man. You know what I'm saying?
In the back, though. My problem was in the back, bro.
Yeah, man. It was like he felt like the little kid, like, we walk in the hallway. Like, come on, bro. And he knew everybody was gonna grab him. So it's like, the NBA is the hold me back league. It's the hold me back league, man.
At the end of the day, I lost some respect for Pat Beverly because that was out of line. You could have hurt the man. You could have ruined the finals before the finals even get started. Look, if you're gonna be a talker, you got to accept what's gonna happen when you're getting your ass whacked. That's just what it is. Yeah. And my dad always used to say, "That's some suckers." That's just what it is. That's straight suckers. But hey, it is what it is. He said what he said. But the biggest thing that from my takeaway today is accountability. Is you just taking accountability. He owned up for his mistake. He got suspended as well too. I don't know how long he's going to be suspended. And then with Miss Miss Richardson. I don't know why I got Jackson in my head, but Miss Richardson, hey, we praying for you. We hope you get better. We love you. Hey, we made a mistake, and just know that there's other ways to deal with trauma. There's other ways to deal with your issues. You don't always have to rely on substances, man. Because we're here. We got to stick together as a community. But we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Y'all have an amazing 4th of July weekend. Take care of yourself and always stay safe. And remember to talk that talk. We see y'all next week. Final talk and football is coming back.
Coming, baby.